All right, welcome back to the Weekly Flow Bucks Chalk Talk. This is Game 73. We got some things to cover. Bucks played the Utah Jazz last night, and they absolutely dominated. So we got some things to go over. It's raining threes and dimes in Utah. Joe Ingles welcome back by the Utah home crowd. Pat heard the criticism and response. Brooke had a monster 7-block game last night. Incredible stuff. Is this the best, deepest roster the Bucks have ever had? And we got to talk a little bit more about this back-to-back kind of stuff. Some of this back-to-back nonsense that the NBA has going on right now. Doing an audio-only version right now because at the moment my hardware and software for my webcam situation, the way that I record video, is not working at the moment. So bear with me. Thank you. I appreciate it. You are loved. You're having a great day. It's going to be a great weekend. More Bucks basketball. So the 53-20 Bucks beat the 35-38 Utah Jazz. The Bucks open up first of a back-to-back in Utah with a commanding wire-to-wire win. 8th wire-to-wire win. Say that 5 times fast. This season, first time sweeping a season series with Utah since the 2000-2001 season. That might be the 01-02 season, but it's been a while. It's been almost as long as I've been alive. The Bucks won 144 to 116 on a ridiculous night passing the ball and hitting threes. The Bucks hit 22 threes, had 42 assists. 42 assists. Oops, and that is my phone vibrating. Sorry about that. They were also 55.6% from the floor and 44% from three. That is absurd. Add those together, it's almost 100%, but that's not how math works in the NBA. The hot shooting came from Drew and Grayson. I think I meant to say Pat there. My bad. Regardless, connection starting in the first quarter. Speaking of the leaders for the Bucks, Grayson led, going 5 for 9 from three with 25 points. Brooke took over on the boards with 14. Giannis was the facilitator tonight with 11 assists. Drew had 9. Brooke had another monster game with 7 blocks. I mentioned before, just absolutely ridiculous. This man is doing unreal things, and his birthday is next week. Both the brothers had 2 steals, and Grayson had 2 as well. Man, what more can I say? Giannis didn't make a field goal for most of the first quarter, and it was just cutting up the Utah zone that they were playing and the half-man matchup zone that they were doing and some of the 2-and-2 kind of deal. Utah sat a bunch of their starters, which I'll round back to at the end of the video with the back-to-back MVP discussion kind of stuff. Drew was driving, pushing the ball in transition. Grayson would find himself wide open shots, hitting shots, getting layups. We love to see our guys shooting and sharing the ball with confidence on the road. Part of it may come from Joe coming back to Utah for the first time since he got injured, and he left in free agency and whatnot. But he had a couple of threes. He also had 6 assists. He's been dishing the ball pretty well, and he had one slick pass to Brooke with one hand, his left hand. It was super quick, like in and out. Like the ball came inside, he got it back and swung it right back, and Utah just wasn't ready for it. Interestingly enough, the Bucks have 3 former Jazz players on the team now. Grayson was drafted and played his rookie year rather in Utah. Jay Crowder was on Utah. I don't remember if it was before or after Boston or like before or after the Cavs because he's been on like 8 different teams in like 1 year per team kind of deal. But as Grayson got hot in the first, it was Pat who got hot in the second. He had 3 threes in quick fashion. It seemed like he was kind of going back with I do not remember his name. I apologize, but he played for I think it was number 26 maybe for Utah. Facciano maybe. He's Italian, I want to say. He had like 4 threes like back to back to back to back. It was ridiculous. But Steve Novak was on the call and he was talking about how he had interacted with Pat before the game and talking about how he needed some good juju to rub off on Pat. And what do you know? He hit 2 threes like basically right away. He hit 3 more threes to extend the lead even more in the fourth. He also had a pretty nice dunk. I mean, like kind of like the dunk that Grayson had on Wednesday night, like towards the dotted line on the jump ball. And we got to love our athletic white guys that can yam one in occasionally and shoot from deep too. And there's Joe and Dragic who can barely get to the rim these days at their age, but hey, you know what? They're still doing great things. Hopefully we can see Goran soon. I'd like to see what he can add to this ridiculously deep team. But anyways, like I mentioned last video, which you can check out here, the little card above, our skepticism online and social media may have caught up to Pat, and he looked in for this first road trip to hit some big shots after all the flack he's been catching about his underwhelming 3-point shot this season. I guess should mention, but no Chris, no Jay, no Goran, no Myers or Green, but we did get some Marjan and the nasty minutes tonight. It's good to see them back in the rotation and a big blowout win. We love to see those. Even Lindell got some play as well, considering their lead was ridiculously large. However, the best performance tonight to me was Brooke. He is showcasing at least something every other game where he's just going off and he's getting like 3 blocks at one possession or 9-block game, or he's 17 straight points. He just absolutely dominates, man. It's ridiculous what he's been able to do, and he's showing how deserving he is of that Defensive Player of the Year award. I mean, he might not be the front runner. I know he was leading, he was the odds-on favorite at one point, but it's probably neck and neck between him and Jaren Jackson Jr. But man, he is just unreal. 7 blocks, like 7 blocks. He had another near triple double again with blocks. He had 17 points, 14 rebounds, which he honestly, if he were to be a little bit more engaged thoroughly on the defensive rebounding, he probably could have had a 20 rebound game. Um, Oh, there goes my Discord. Sorry about that. It's just phenomenal to see this guy who's turning 35 in just a few days in a week here. He'll be on April 1st, I believe. I think it's April 1st birthday. Um, to be moving like him and all these young wings and centers that just dominate the paint and just it's ridiculous. Like he saw, I think it was THT was coming down the lane and was basically going to get a routine rim grazer, and he said, "Nope, stuck his left hand in there, blocked that one. He blocked Kessler like 4 times, who's a guy who's basically has that player comp to Brook, and Brook has a lot of better footwork, back to the basket kind of guy. But, anyways, I might have to be a homer here. Tim Legler on the old man in the three with JJ Redick described a play of Embiid being the only guy in the league who can commit fully to the driver, like right in front of him, jump like as hard as he can, land, turn, jump and block a shot or a dunk attempt at the rim. And immediately, us Bucks fans said, no way Giannis can do that, and has on the biggest stage. Obviously, we saw the block on Ayton, but Brook did that like 4 times tonight. It was just incredibly impressive. I mean, there was literally like a highlight reel of him doing it several times on like people who are just as tall as him, just as strong going up, and it was absurd. His athleticism at this age is just increasing seemingly by the day, and we like to see that going into the playoffs. Um, and then you sit back and you watch Bobby battle on the glass. I think he had 8 or 9 rebounds. He only had like 5 or 6 points tonight, but you didn't need a huge contribution from him because when you see Pat hit all these threes, and Ingles is just getting 6 assists like it's nothing. Like I watched, a large portion of this game. I think at the end there at the fourth, I kind of just had it on in the background, but you know, when you look and you're like, oh wow, he had 6 assists and 6 points. It's like wow, he was really dishing that thing like it was nothing. Um, Drew was just getting to where he wanted. He's been having some quiet games here and there, but that's what you want. You want your third best player to be able to put up 18 points in a 20 plus 30 plus point win, and it's just like no big deal. He's picking the pocket of THT, and he's just being all over the place, being a menace on the perimeter. We love that. Giannis doing crazy Giannis stuff. Can't help but think how deep this roster is. Obviously you have arguably the best player on the planet. You have some of the best on-ball defenders, at the rim protectors. You have some incredibly savvy vets that are just capable of doing anything. And I personally believe that this is the deepest team in the NBA and the deepest this Bucks team has ever been. Period. Ever. Period. Steve Novak is mixed on the call for some Bucks fans, but he was spot on. The Bucks 1 through 5 and the reserves 1 through 5, and the mix-ins in there. They're the best shooting team, shooting talent from three the league has. Like from Drew to Brook, from Bobby to Wes, even from Javon with his pull-up, and AJ Green with the crazy green light that he has, and Myers who can step out occasionally and knock down a three. They can be contested, they can be open, transition off the dribble or on the swing. They can knock down a shot, and when the Bucks have threes hitting for them going into the rim, like they're basically unbeatable. I couldn't agree more with that, and I think that's just scary for the East and for the rest of the league if they're shooting well. And not to mention, by the way, Giannis has been shooting nearly 43% from the All Star break, doing 9 for 19, so around 2 attempts per game. If he's feeling confident and willing, of course he should shoot open looks and rhythm shots as well. And this team is absurd, and they're only just now truly getting their full stride and ready to gear for this postseason run. Now, the Bucks have a game tonight in Denver, so less than 24 hours between games, and they have quite the challenge to go into the house at altitude and try to beat the second or third best home team with the potential MVP in the battle of the one seeds. It should be an incredible game. Hopefully, this gets a lot of buzz, and we're going to get a lot of toxicity, but that just comes with it. It's the nature of the beast, but it's kind of some Bucks fans and some people on Twitter thinking that this is probably going to be a loss, even though it might be a really good game. It's one of those things where, man, it's a back to back. It's the second one. They're playing a good team. They had 2 days of rest. It's going to be rough, but Chris sat in Utah, so perhaps they have a chance, and we can get a good scoring punch from there, and we can continue the shooting that we had in the ball movement and confidence. And but that brings me to my final point that Utah sat some of their starters to gear up for a back to back they have in Sacramento tonight to fight for better leverage for the play in. Utah was okay with just giving the win to Milwaukee, in their post game press conference. The head coach, I don't know his name, I apologize, but he's just like, man, we almost had him. I don't even know where to start, because they just absolutely hosed them the entire time, and they're okay giving the win so they can hopefully get a chance instead of, losing 2 games back to back. They, might split 1-1 with the Western Conference team, give themselves a better chance. Um, but they're on the outside looking in. They're the 12th seed. They have a bunch of like season series that they are on the bad end on. It's unfortunate for them. They need some help, but that's kind of the decision that they have to make is, do we forfeit this game so we can give ourselves a chance? And I just think the league needs to think about this before it comes to that CBA. When June 30th hits right after the finals, hopefully we get to see Giannis and all those guys hold up a second Larry OB, but it's going to be tough. We have players, a guy like Chris who has a player option. Does he accept the player option or does he test free agency if it's going to be a lockout? He's coming off injury and he had all these surgeries and he's missed a bunch of time. It's one of those things where this load management thing, this conversation has dominated podcast basketball, national media basketball, casual basketball, where people are talking about people getting injured and sitting out all the time. Just really unfortunate where we're at in the NBA. And I think we have a great product here, but it could be even better. And I think this is indicative. This is one of those examples where, you miss out on an all-star playing against another all-star and a superstar. And well, that's pretty much all that I have. I hope that the Bucks win tonight. It'd be an amazing game. It's head-to-head matchup for the Bucks, for Giannis specifically in the MVP debate, and how they value these late March, early April matchups at the end of the season. And I think we might be in for a treat. And hopefully it's competitive. I don't want it to be a blowout either way, but I'm excited. Let me know your thoughts, what you think of mine. Jingles forever, and let's hope for a good one in Denver. I will see you again next time. Deuces.